Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Monday, November 16, 2020. For today's editorial, another task force, but get it right this time. In response to Typhoon Ulysses with international name VAMCO and its trail of tragedy and devastation, President Rodrigo Duterte is contemplating the designation of a task force to streamline the relief, recovery, and rehabilitation effort that government must launch and lead over the landscape of ruin in Luzon, particularly in Bicol, Metro Manila, and Cagayan Valley. It is to be hoped that this administration move will ramp up and strengthen the current relief and rehabilitation efforts to such an extent that the most affected communities can quickly recover their bearings and return to normal life. Recovery and rehabilitation cannot be quickly achieved because Ulysses, like its namesake, was exceptionally powerful and unsparing. The strong winds flattened vegetation and structures in its path, and the flooding from the rains touched near record levels. Declaration of a state of calamity in the most affected areas cannot encompass the extent of the challenge to recovery and rehabilitation. Leaving the work entirely to line agencies such as the National Disaster Relief and Response Management Council, or NDRRMC, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, and the Department of Public Works and Highways will clearly not be enough. So, something bigger must be attempted. It is in this light that the administration seeks to designate or appoint a task force to spearhead the work of recovery and rehabilitation. Mention of the term task force leaves many among the public a little skeptical and wary because, in truth, task forces are not a strong suit of the Duterte administration. The creation of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF-EID, as the government's principal tool for controlling the coronavirus pandemic has hardly been a success. It has inflicted on the country and our people a mixed record of economic recession and the draconian curtailment of the civil liberties of the people. Most telling is its record so far of inflicting on the country the second longest lockdown cum quarantine in the world. The president's penchant for tapping citizens with a military or police background to lead and manage emergency initiatives did not work in the pandemic, because he overloaded the IATF-EID with too many retired military officers and policemen, and neglected to name enough individuals with expertise and experience in addressing problems of public health. This kind of misstep should be consciously avoided in the post-Ulysses recovery and rehabilitation effort. Details on the proposed task force are scant. All that is known is that nearly all government agencies are represented in it. The president said only that he wants the task force to cut red tape and do its work under a strict timeline. He said candidly, "I don't know what the task force will do, but whatever it is, just do it, and I'll take care of it." But it is a fact that there exists already within the executive branch an agency that has the task of overseeing everything that has to do with disaster response during major calamities. This is the NDRRMC. Palace spokesman Harry Roque Jr. says the new task force will not overlap with the functions of the NDRRMC and was simply created to emphasize the effects of the previous typhoons. It appears designed mainly to address the needs of those affected by the typhoon. The concept of a task force has a military origin. It was originally introduced by the United States Navy. The term has caught on for general usage as non-military organizations now create task forces or task groups for temporary activities that used to be performed by ad hoc or designated purpose committees. Today, a task force is principally useful for strategic planning in solving a problem. A task force is designed to achieve proposed strategic goals in a strategic plan. In some literature on strategic management and public administration, it is written that creating a successful task force requires a lot more than constituting its membership. Thought must be given to identifying the right task force members and the right process design. Using task forces in favor of standing committees can add value, but the true value is achieved when the organization takes a strategic approach to task force formation and designing the process. And that's the editorial for Monday, November 16, 2020. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.